Hi guys. As you know, we have been going through what main idea, reasons, and textual evidence or supporting details look like. Today we're really going to bring all of those things together in one lesson. We're going to practice this all together. What I do here on the screen, you guys are going to do with the article that you have at your seats. With 3 different colored highlighters. So you are going to need 3 different colors in hand. If you don't have those materials, take a look in your table team supplies. If you guys need to share those, please make sure that you're being generous with each other. All right, so today we're going to practice with a pro-con article about whether or not all high schoolers should take courses in personal finance, which is like a mini business class where students learn how to handle checking accounts and credit accounts and how to keep track of the money that they're making, spending, and saving, in case you didn't know what a personal finance class was. We are just going to read the pro article today, and we are going to annotate this article, which means we are going to mark it up using those 3 different colors. One of your colors is going to be for the claim or the main idea, the author's claim or the author's main idea. The second color is going to be for the author's reasons, and the third color is going to be for the evidence or the supporting details that we find. I am going to use red for claim or main idea, purple for reasons, and yellow for supporting details and evidence. Once you have all 3 colors out, go ahead and follow along with me. Like I said, we're just going to read the pro article, and so right off the bat, these articles make it super clear for you with the claim right there in the title. This author believes that yes, education system overhaul should include new emphasis on financial literacy. So I'm going to highlight that statement in my red, or pink, I guess. That is the claim. This author believes, yes, all high schoolers should take a financial literacy or personal finance class. And we're going to read on to find out why. This author says, Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos has the task of improving America's public schools. Public schools in the U.S. are shocking for their lack of instruction in personal finance. Students need to know how to manage money. Let's hope DeVos makes this a priority. Our high schools are failing badly when it comes to teaching students about their own money. Only 17 states require high school students to take courses in personal finance. That number comes from a 2016 study by the Council for Economic Education. It's distressing when you consider that high school is, for many young people, a last opportunity to learn about money. Then they enter today's expensive and changing world. So this author does a really good job of explaining the issue. She explains a lot of reasons why she thinks that, yes, these students should be taking a financial literacy class. She explains that public schools are shocking for their lack of instruction in this area, and that students need to know how to manage money. Those are some reasons that she brings up. I'm going to highlight them in my purple for now, but hopefully she comes back and gives us more information about that. She also explains that today's world is expensive and changing, and that is another reason why she thinks that all students should take a personal finance class. So she goes over the problem here, the issue, and gives us some reasons for it. Let's see if she dives deeper into those so that we can outline those later on. The first section she goes into is learning how to manage your own money. Most kids don't need to learn advanced finance ideas, says Nan J. Morrison. She is the president and CEO of the Council for Economic Education. Students need to know how to open a bank account and how much they must save to reach their goals, she said. They should also know how much money they will need to earn to pay back what they borrow, she said. She and other personal finance leaders helped establish what we call everyday economics in high schools. In 1998, only 14 states required that high schools give their seniors basic personal finance education. Now, 37 states do. Students in these states learn about finance as part of their other classes. Over the last few years, New York and Illinois have set tougher rules. Washington State has new laws to do the same. So she goes on to explain that there's a lack of instruction in personal finance. And this whole section explains this lack of instruction, but how it is growing. So we are going to highlight some of the details, some of the evidence that she uses to support her reason that there is a lack of education and that that needs to change. So she quotes Nan J. Morrison, who is the president and CEO for the Council for Economic Education. That is one support. I'm going to highlight that in yellow because she's citing a credible source. She explains the different things that they need to learn. How to open a bank account, how to learn what they need to earn in order to pay back anything that they ever borrow. She also gives us a statistic here. In 1998, only 14 states required this class. Now 37 do. That's a strong piece of evidence that I am going to highlight as well. And then she gives several other state examples of how they have changed their education laws in order to provide this education to students. So reason number one, this education has been lacking but is now growing, and she supports that reason with all of this evidence, all of these supports. Moving on, only 17 states require seniors to take this finance course. She goes on, however, the number of states that require high school students to take a separate personal finance course has stayed the same since 2014, the study said. Still, just 17 states require a personal finance course in high school. So up here she explains states offer this education as an option, but here she's telling us it's not a requirement. She says that's truly unfortunate. The 17 states with the course requirement send their students to college and into the real world with a head start. The Investor Education Foundation, or IEF, says that students gain from the classes. Students who passed required personal financial courses managed their money better. They were less likely to fall behind on payments. So we're going back up to her reason about this lack of instruction. She gave a lot of supports here to show that this is lacking, and now she's explaining that there's a need for it here. It's really similar to her first reason. So some evidence that she uses to support that. The number of states that require high school students to take a personal finance class has stayed the same since 2014. That shows that a lot of states have not made this a requirement. And then she gives us a lot of information down here about the IEF, which says that students gain from these classes. They manage their money better, they're less likely to fall behind on payments. So she's showing that certain students that do take this required course perform better than students that did not. All right, moving on to the last section of this article. Course could benefit students in low-income areas. I'm going to highlight that because right away, she is bringing up another reason. She goes on to say, finance courses provide important help to students in low-income areas. She's really repeating herself again, but I'm going to highlight that in my purple because she's emphasizing that reason. Young people in poor areas are often unemployed or working for low pay. They might accept loans that are hard to pay back. Lenders may take advantage of people who need to borrow money quickly. These lenders target poor people with unethical and even illegal practices. They charge very high interest rates. It can make borrowing money very expensive. People remain poor as a result. Recent graduates in these places struggle to pay their bills. They find it hard to manage what little money they have. As Morrison says, learning is everything. When you learn good habits, you tend to have better outcomes. And that is the end of her article. She gives us some evidence in this last section of her article. She gives us a lot of supporting details that show this could benefit students in low-income areas. This entire first paragraph is full of details about what it looks like to live in a low-income area. A lot of people are unemployed or working for really low pay. They might take out loans as a result that are really hard to pay back. People take advantage of them. They charge very high interest rates. It makes borrowing money very expensive, and therefore it keeps people in that cycle. So she explains this situation using a lot of details. Then she quotes that President Morrison again, which I'm going to highlight since she's quoting another source. Morrison makes a comment about learning. When you learn good habits, you tend to have better outcomes, which is a detail that explains how this could benefit students in low-income areas. So, to review, our author here believes, her claim is that all students should all students should have a required personal finance course in high school. Reason number one is that this is a lacking skill in public schools. This is something that students have not received enough education on. She backs that up with quotes from President Nan J. Morrison, and she backs that up with information about what students need to know and about what states are learning about that. Her second reason is a little more specific. She talks about how specifically this education would benefit students in low-income areas. Because of their circumstances, this education would be even more valuable to them, and maybe even, as a result, break that cycle of living in poverty. So, one claim, two specific reasons, and as we look at our highlights, a lot of supporting details to back up those reasons.